some sort of hold of a rock or hold of a hand. He jumped in at the beginning of a set, the worst possible time you could, and it was the biggest one of the day.
Don't panic.
It was kind of like he was caught in a huge washing machine, locked in an eternal rinse cycle where he's going back and forth, and his life was being taken away from him.
Put yourself at the scene. What would you do to save him? Should you? A, form a human chain, then try pulling the person to safety. B, attach a rope to a flotation device and throw it to the swimmer. Or C, grab the victim's hand and pull them out. As you figure out the best move, know there are two factors at work here. It's high tide, and there's an unusually large south swell.
Tide is the periodic rise and fall of the ocean surface caused by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun.
There are two high tides and two low tides. You have the pull of the moon and the sun, and that creates this tidal bulge, but it creates it not only on the moon side of the Earth, but on the far side of the Earth.
Swells are similar to waves, but they're developed from big storm systems off in the distance that actually create the energy and push large bodies of water towards the shoreline or out over the open ocean.
Rising tides combined with large swells have turned this cave into a death trap. What do you do in this situation? The safest option? B, throw a flotation device to the victim.
That's a great idea, because what you're doing is giving that person the opportunity to save themselves, and you're not increasing the amount of victims that are in the water.
Hopefully they can grab it, hang on to it, attach it to themselves, and you can tow them safely into shore.
If there are no flotation devices available, call 911. Because choosing A and C and getting involved could prove disastrous.
Making a human chain to reach out and pull them in is just doomed to probably killing even more people. You're going to have slippery footing, and that water's going to be hitting you with hundreds of pounds of lateral force. You're not going to just walk a line out there. It's going to be broken apart by that powerful water.
In the heat of the moment, Gary tries to be a hero.
So I go down and I'm trying to grab his hand. I'm just missing by inches.
It's obviously a very difficult situation. You've got a kid that's in the water, but it's going to be very dangerous for anyone else to enter that water, and you're only going to most likely become a victim yourself.
While I'm trying to grab him, sure enough, a wave comes and knocks me in the water and washes me into the cave with him.
Within minutes, it's apparent Gary's in trouble too.
There was no saving anybody. You had to fight for your life.
A third person jumps in, and now there are three people in peril.
He's right there! He's near the rock!
I knew that the tide was coming in. I might die, because if I walked back into this cave a few more times, with this tide coming up, there might not be a place to come up.
Just as Gary accepts his grim fate,
the waves finally start to die down, and I swim out past the waves and I punch out past them because I knew from my experience of being in the ocean that that would be my best chance, and I make it.
Gary fights his way to shore. As for the teen,
He's right there! Right there!
his friend Rob jumps in.
Hold his hand! Reach for him!
And the two men finally pull the unconscious teenager out. Gary and Rob work furiously to resuscitate him. Incredibly, the teen regains consciousness. The young man is airlifted out and makes a full recovery. But this scary experience serves as a reminder to stay away from sea caves, especially at high tide.
Caves are extremely dangerous. It doesn't take big waves to trap you in a cave. I should not have been in that water with all my experience.
Sea caves are a danger zone. If you see someone in trouble, act fast. Call 911 and throw the victim a line, preferably a flotation device attached to a rope, and tow them to safety. Remember, rising tides and swells can quickly turn fun into chaos.
He's right there! He's near the rock!
In bounce houses, Children are literally surrounded by soft padded walls. And while there's always a chance for a minor collision with other kids, the bounce houses themselves are safe. Right?
Bounce houses are very susceptible to wind gusts. It just depends on the weight of the bounce house, who's in the bounced house, and the strength of the wind.
And it's more common than you realize. Here, wind in Littleton, Colorado left 2 girls injured. In upstate New York, a bounce house takes to the skies after dropping 2 boys 15 feet into a parking lot, severely injuring them. And in Orlando, gusts blow an inflatable structure across the University of Central Florida campus. Are you helpless when a bounce house takes flight? Lightning strikes your truck. Can you escape from the smoldering heat?
It was just excruciating.
And when there's a sudden shift in the wind, you only have a split second to react.
This summer, dinosaurs are in our world.
Pet dinosaur? I'll take care of you. Nice and quiet.
Hey, look, it's your mom.
Hot dog?
We really had our hands full with our 2-year-old.
So naturally, we doubled down with the new puppy.
Thankfully, we also have new Tide Ultra Oxy with odor eliminators. Between stains and odors, it can handle double trouble.
For the #1 stain fighter and odor remover, it's got to be Tide.
Domino's is testing driverless delivery powered by Neuro, and it's got someone back to their old habits. Avoid the Noid when you get any 2 or more medium 2-topping Domino's pizzas delivered for just $5.99 each.
If you could only eat one thing the rest of your life, what would it be?
Easy. Buffet.
Pretty sure that's not one thing.
Barbecue buffet.
A buffet is the complete opposite of one.
Okay, a barbecue ribs buffet with broths and barbecue chicken on the side.
There's an invisible threat in your backyard that could cause deadly heartworm disease for your dog. But not if you protect him every month with HeartGuard Plus, the #1 choice of dogs. Digestive and neurological side effects have rarely been reported. Ask your vet for HeartGuard Plus.
Kellogg's Homestyle Rice Krispies Treats. Have more fluffy marshmallow, more delicious Rice Krispies, more to love in every bite. Kellogg's Homestyle Rice Krispies Treats. A little love when it's needed.
Meet 3 sisters, the drummer, the dribbler, and the daydreamer. The dribbler's getting hands-on practice with her Chase First Banking debit card. The drummer's making savings simple with a tap. Round of applause. And this dreamer, well, she's still learning how to budget, so mom keeps her alerts on full volume.
Hey!
What? It's true. And that's all thanks to Chase First Banking. Freedom for kids, control for parents. One bank with tools for both, all with no monthly service fee. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Every time we go out, there is something new that is discovered.
It's literally the last frontier.
The biggest questions that everybody wants to know.
The story of the entire evolution of human civilization. Absolutely blown away by the natural beauty. Gives you goosebumps.
We have a long way to go to uncover all the mysteries of our own planet.
You've brought your children to an outdoor event, and they're enjoying the afternoon in a bounce house when... So before this happens, what should you do to keep your kids safe in an inflatable structure? Should you A, Stay in the bounce house with them at all times. B. Make sure the house is held down with heavy sandbags. Or C. Be aware of local weather conditions. What can make a bounce house dangerous anyway?
A bounce house is not all that heavy given its amount of surface area, and of course it's filled with air, so it probably wouldn't take a very strong wind to pick it right up.
It's May of 2015 in Fort Lauderdale, and a freak whirlwind whips up just off the beach. At first, onlookers don't take it seriously, but then... Three children inside are injured. One suffers a head injury and has to be hospitalized overnight. One study found the number of bounce house-related injuries between 1995 and 2010 was up 1,500%. Not every incident can be blamed on weather, but it is a factor in many cases. So, what can you do to keep your kids safe in an inflatable structure? If you answered C, be aware of the local weather conditions, you're right.
Your local forecast has the forecasted wind speeds for the day, but you want to look for times of changing weather. Is there a cold front coming through? Are there going to be thunderstorms in the area? It's those changes in the weather which usually kick up the wind.
An adult in a bounce house isn't likely to weigh enough to hold it down. So all a parent can do inside one is add to the potential for injuries. As for sandbags,
a bounce house can't be anchored by just a sandbag. You need something much more substantial to anchor it down, something heavier than the bounce house.
And here's the proof. New Year's Eve, 2014. A dust devil spins to life at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Gary Knutson is just yards away.
It initially looked like just some wind kind of blowing some debris, some cups. You could see some kind of trash blowing. You really couldn't tell which way it was coming. It started to move to the right, and that's when a lot of the tents and the real light structures took to the air, umbrellas, and then it kind of changed direction and went more southwest and missed our.
Fortunately, no one was inside, so there were no serious injuries. But people aren't always so lucky. So keep your children and yourself safe. Remember these survival tips. Check the forecast. Watch out for winds, especially when gusts are over 20 miles. Inflatable from
Bounce houses. You know what it is? Anchor it down or it ain't around.
Oh, bounce house!
January 2014. Authorities issue a winter storm watch when a slow-moving Arctic front rolls over the mid-Atlantic. In Philadelphia, temperatures plummet, and officials declare a snow emergency. By morning, the entire city is covered in snow. That's bad news for Shirley Bonani. She's at home with her husband Fabian when she feels the first contractions.
I'm feeling totally in control. Everything's good. The bags are actually packed. I never pack anything in advance, but they're actually packed.
Even knowing that this record-breaking snowfall might slow them down, Shirley's not worried.
I decided I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to get ready to go since I'm only 10 minutes apart, and they don't really want us to come in until we're about 3 minutes apart.
Fabian loads up the car, which is parked about 300 feet away at the bottom of a hill. But when he goes back to retrieve his wife...
As soon as I walk in, I hear wailing. and all my confidence goes right out the window there.
Put yourself in Fabian's boots. What should you do if a woman goes into labor during severe weather? Should you A, get in the car and go to the hospital? B, call 911 and wait for EMTs to arrive? Or C, grab some towels and hot water. This baby is getting delivered at home. Fabian is hoping to avoid that last option.
Fabian came back inside and he is helping me walk down the steps. That's when my water broke.
Everything happened so fast, I didn't even call 911.
So what's his plan? He thought he had prepared for the worst. No blizzard's going to stop this baby. Do you know what to do?
This baby's coming right now. I'm pushing.
Where will you run when an earthquake hits and you're 55 stories up in the air?
Everyone was running helter-skelter all over the place.
And can you survive impact after impact in a colossal pileup?
We're at the mercy of Mother Nature. We have a few storms coming in that we need to beat.
We're shipwreck hunting, and we're going to get them back. When it doesn't go right, people die. Sometimes a lot of people.
I'll risk everything all the time. That's how I've always done things.
Open. It's a beautiful word. Neighborhoods, open. Businesses, open. Fields, open. Who doesn't love open? Offices, homes, stages, possibilities. Your world, open. And you can help keep it that way.
At Napa, we keep things moving. When we're not thinking about cars, we're thinking about the people who drive them. Because when it comes to serving you and our community, our motor never quits.
It was a little extra to make Kettle Brand sea salt and vinegar chips this bold. But what can we say? We're tangy like that. Kettle Brand chips, extra thick, extra flavorful, extra in a good way.